Spain decided they didn't need a border, and look what happened. This is crazy. This is like 60,000 people, and they all decided to just cross the border on the same day. Unbelievable.
Chaos at the border of Spain's North African enclave.
This is
in
chaos.
Morocco. This is a city called Ceuta. You're
The
watching
police
as
have no idea what to
thousands
do.
of migrants break through the
They're not
fence
breaking
and
through, man. They're
completely
hopping over.
overwhelm the border police. Their video showing huge groups of people, mostly young military-age guys, cramming into inflatable tubes or arriving on shore another way, some of them wading in the water as they break through the gates to get to the other side. Sandra, this is reminiscent of kind of what we saw during the open border during the Biden administration through 2021, 2024, kind of similar to what we saw in Del Rio back in 2021. The socialist agenda, their platform literally says they want to abolish borders, abolish immigration enforcement, have complete freedom of movement. This is what it looks like.
And here's why this is happening. Recently, Spain decided to grant mass amnesty to over 600,000 people. And now the socialists running this place, they're scrambling. They don't know what to do. Look at this. You have mobs all over the place. This is crazy. The police are totally overwhelmed. People are stealing. I guess they didn't do a whole lot of vetting when this happened. Oh, is that guy getting arrested? Oh, he escaped. Look, they just let him go. They just let that guy go. That business is done. They got a sign on the door that says they were selling Haagen-Dazs. There's some onions outside. It was like a grocery store. Look at these people. They're like, what's going on? The police are like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. This is just how our government works now. This is terrible. But wait till you see this. One guy brought a bike with him. Look at that. He's got his bicycle.
En bicicleta por el agua.
Where's he going? And I can't believe it.
Abolish immigration enforcement, have complete freedom of movement.
They have a border
This is what it
wall
looks
too.
like
It's just
in another country if they get what they want. Notice there is no resistance from the government whatsoever. These people are coming in without any obstruction. And if people don't know, Spain has a very left-wing government. Earlier this year, they did a big amnesty program for over 1 million illegal immigrants living in the country. They had 1.3 million illegal immigrants apply for that amnesty program between April and June. So that's what we call a pull factor, Sandra. They're looking for something like that. They know if they can just get their foot in the country, maybe someday that left-wing government will do another amnesty program. And you were just reading some of the wires. The locals want an emergency declaration. It sounds like
the ministry's saying no, and they will not deploy military to the border.
Apparently, they don't think this is an emergency.
Yeah, the socialists.
This is a total free-for-all.
They say it's not an emergency
until it is. It does feel like we were looking at a few years ago when you were reporting at the border here in the United States. This is happening right now. This story is breaking.
And here's why this matters. Listen.
And I watched the catastrophe that took place. It looks like an invasion of a country by hundreds of thousands of people. And that same thing's going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected, except worse. Much bigger, much easier to get into, despite the fact that we have built thousands of miles of wall, which I said we were going to do. But we didn't have that, forget it. But we have the safest border in the world. If we're not in office, our country will be invaded at levels that made Spain look small time. And when I watched it, I said, boy, I'm going to say it because I knew you were going to be at Camp David. And I say, that's going to be a talking point for the midterms. Right. Because when you look at what happened to Spain, they don't know what to do. And it's happening again today. They're coming in by the tens of thousands. They're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law. They passed a couple of laws, and people read. You know, people are smart. They read from other countries, and they swam that 3-mile swim or however they got in, but nobody's seen anything like it. That will look good compared to what's going to happen to the United States.
And that's the thing. Some voices want you to think that these people that came into Spain are being brainwashed or misled, but they know what's going on. They know what the laws are like in this country, and they know that once they get in, removing them isn't something that is legally possible anymore. Look at this.
Thousands of people hailing from Morocco and sub-Saharan Africa, attempting to reach Europe. While it is still difficult to say for certain what triggered this unexpected migration wave, according to several media outlets and experts, one of the possible causes could be a Spanish court ruling. On the 8th of July, Spanish courts issued a ruling prohibiting the automatic return of migrants who reach Ceuta or Melilla by swimming.
Wow. So they get
For
to
most
stay.
of them, the hope was short-lived. After just a few hours, they were forced to turn back.
But the people who were deported, that only happened after the military arrived. It took a long time for there to be any border security here. And when this whole thing started, a whole bunch of people got in and made their way into the actual city. And who knows where they are? They could be on a plane right now to mainland Europe, which other countries are afraid of.
And the migrant surge flowing from Morocco into the Spanish territory of Ceuta. A situation that has now turned deadly. Authorities now deploying tear gas, water cannons, and firing warning shots in an effort to stop tens of thousands of migrants coming in from Morocco.
Officials estimate 60,000 people crossed into the Spanish territory without anyone really stopping them.
In like
the amount of people who pushed into that Spanish territory in just one day, well, it is equivalent to about 70% of that city's population.
That's
the military
insane.
Has now been deployed to help restore order, and Spain's Interior Ministry says roughly 37,000 who crossed have already returned to Morocco.
Okay, so half
Spain's
got
Prime
in.
Minister Pedro Sanchez is blaming criminal networks and human traffickers for the situation. But it is worth pointing out a Spanish court recently ruled arrivals by sea can't be directly deported. There's also a new Spanish program that gives legal status to illegal immigrants. President Trump says the catastrophe in the Spanish territory is a product of weak laws and bad management.
It looks like an invasion of a country by hundreds of thousands of people. And that same thing's going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected.
He's right,
Except
man.
worse.
It already was happening under Biden.
Much easier to get into.
There is also concern right here in Europe among many leaders who worry this could soon spill over and across their borders. The UK's Prime Minister Andy Burnham called the situation concerning, and the Italian government has now suspended its border-free travel arrangements with Spain.
Oh, so other countries now all of a sudden care about border security. That's pretty wild. And these are people who came in. Doesn't look like a whole lot of vetting was done. Doesn't look like anyone may even know who these individuals are. That could be dangerous. This is how it all started. Look at this. This is the crossing. You have 7 police officers. This is not working. This is not a sustainable situation. Look at this. It's crazy. You got people climbing fences. So they have border apparatuses, but you need a law enforcement agency behind those apparatuses. Walls don't matter. A fence doesn't matter unless you have a consequence for doing this, but there's actually a reward. If the reward is you can come in and you can get citizenship, you can get work permission, if you can get to stay, if you can get benefits like healthcare and things like that, what's going to end up happening is people will attempt this because instead of having to go all the way back, they're going to get something that they wouldn't have access to if they didn't break the law. So once you tie a reward to law-breaking of any kind, you create situations like this. You give people an incentive. Look, the fence is right there.
Out-of-control scenes that we are seeing right now is thousands and thousands of migrants from Morocco surge into Spain as the country's border totally collapses at the northern city of Ceuta. As you could see there, plenty of crowds of people, some wearing T-shirts, some in wetsuits, just pouring onto local roads.
Now, one guy had his
The head
bike.
of the association that represents Spain's civil guard officers in Ceuta told AP the situation is absolute chaos. It's not possible to give precise numbers, but there are thousands of migrants crossing. There are reports at least.
That's a good point. They don't know how many people came across when this happened. They have estimates. They know how many people they've told can't come in. They're saying that that might be around half. But if the socialist government that says borders don't work and has amnesty programs, if they're the ones putting out these figures, I would guess that they may be padding the numbers somehow. They don't know how many people came across. You mean to tell me those 7 police officers that were totally overwhelmed at that one gate counted every single person? They have no idea. They don't know what happened. And now in America, we're about to choose between the Democratic Socialists and Zoran Mamdani, this new political movement that wants to reopen our border, and the idea of border security and having a country and having laws and orders and consequences. Look at this.
What's been happening in Spain last couple of days is a grim look at our own future. The results of what happens when socialist policies run wild.
Right, it is. Oh, look at this. Oh, so they did have some police eventually. It's so crazy.
Some 60,000 migrants crossing into the Spanish territory of Ceuta from Morocco over the last 48 hours as Spanish authorities scramble to contain it.
We don't have a good life in Morocco. Don't meet and we don't have a good medicine.
They're talking about healthcare.
And we don't have a good teachers
and school.
It's a bad life in Morocco.
I want to stay here. I want to discover in Spain, discover in Europe.
He wants to travel.
I want to be active, and work. In the job, in the social life.
He wants to go to clubs.
Sounds painfully familiar. Residents are terrified for what it means for them.
Right? It's pretty crazy.
One day, when they've gone 2 or 3 days without food or a place to sleep, they'll break into our homes, they'll kick us out of our homes, they'll attack us. What will they do?
Well, we saw them breaking into that grocery store. We can't go about our daily lives. We can't live our lives. We can't do absolutely anything, and we're at our wits' end because nobody is helping us. Wow. Yeah, their own
Understandably,
government.
this is sending shockwaves throughout the region. One country's emergency is becoming a test of Europe's passport-free travel system.
Yeah, because that's the goal.
Italy
you got to understand, getting into one country in Europe, getting legal status there means you now have access to the entire place. That's just the way the EU is set up. They think borders don't work. They think they don't matter. Well, now we're going to find out if that's really the kind of system that we should emulate here in America.
What's coming, and it's already locking down to protect its own citizens, putting border controls on anyone coming in from Spain.
Yeah, it's wild. You kind of have to.
You're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law. Nobody's seen anything like it. That will look good compared to what's going to happen to the United States.
He's right, man. He's 100% right.
They reminded me, although I think they might have even been worse, than the very worst days under Joe Biden when we were watching those caravans coming towards our own border.
Yep.
Well, I think you're right. The pictures were a little shocking, but they shouldn't be surprising. I mean, Spain granted mass amnesty for almost over 1 million illegal aliens earlier this year. Almost 600,000 have applied and received work permits.
So
and so
crazy.
you have others that are sitting outside of Spain saying, I want that same thing too. And so you see this rush. But, the larger point here is that the EU as a bloc has had very liberal, very open borders now.
Spain, in particular, you have to understand something. They have this stance that they need high levels of immigration, and this is how they're going to accomplish it. That's why they're doing these mass amnesty programs. They're saying that they want this, and their excuse for it is, we have an aging population, so we need more workers, so we're going to have these mass amnesty programs. And they've been doing that for about a year now with these programs and these abilities that people have to apply to get to stay in the country and get to work there. So it's not like just some random thing happened and this was some social media prank or someone told a bunch of people, hey, you can go to Spain now, it's okay. No, people are watching. People know what's going on. People have contact with folks that are in Spain and got legal status, and they want that too. You can't blame them.
Over a decade, and it's been an absolute disaster for a variety of different countries in a variety of different cities inside the EU. And they've gone so far as they've actually tried to pass a law this year, and they did, about a new return policy, how they can deport illegal aliens quicker and faster, but it's not enough, and it's certainly not working. And so I think that social experiment tells you, what could happen here in the U.S. And of course, we had that experiment under 4 years of Joe Biden, and it was a failure left and right. It was a failure.
Yeah. So Spanish authorities say that most of those 60,000 who rushed the border and came across have voluntarily returned to Morocco.
They don't know how many people
came
in.
I can't even kind of wrap my head around that. What do you make of all of that?
Look, you did not count every single person. They have no clue who's in their country right now. They have estimates, but they don't have a real number, and that's totally fine with them. They'll put out a statistic. They'll say, oh, yeah, we got the border under control. Yeah, everybody's leaving anyways. It's not a big deal. They don't even want to be here. That's what they're telling us. Why did they come? That's my question. If nobody actually wants to be here and everyone's willing to just turn around and head back, why are they running like this? Why did they come all the way here? Why did they swim around all of the border security and then run past the police if they didn't want to come in the first place. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I would be a little leery about those facts and about that assertion about all of them self-deporting and returning on their own. They have no incentive to.
Right.
Their incentive is to stay there.
He doesn't believe it.
And to have that visa-free travel throughout the Schengen zone or the EU.
Yeah, that's what they want.
And to get a work permit there in Spain because of the structure that they have there. So, look, these open border policies throughout the EU attracts more and more of these types of incursions. And while we haven't seen one recently, we have seen similar ones like this over the past decade or more.
Do you have any sense about what sparked this current thing over the last 48 hours?
Yeah, I'm interested to hear his opinion.
Well, again, I think I would point back to earlier this year. Again, the Spanish government provided amnesty.
Okay, and that's because it aligns with my opinion. But look, if you have a reward system in place for behavior that's against the law, how can you not expect people to break the law? If the reward for stealing from a grocery store is you could keep everything that you stole, more people would steal from grocery stores. This is not hard to figure out. But now the question is America going to figure this out? Is this event right here going to have an impact on our upcoming midterm elections where you have people that say that we should defund ICE and reopen the border?
What they thought was about 500,000 illegal aliens, and in fact, 1.3 or more actually applied for that amnesty, and over 600,000 have gotten work permits. That's a huge influx of individuals getting work permits in this year alone. And my guess is that these individuals from Morocco and elsewhere in North Africa are saying, look, if I get to Spain, perhaps I'll get that same type of amnesty from that government as well.
Perhaps,
and so the influx certainly could have been precipitated by that.
Right.
Yeah, but it really is kind of strange, and I guess a reminder that a lot of these groups that are helping these people do things like this are very highly coordinated and have tremendous ability to communicate among themselves to rush a border like that.
And here's the other thing you have to remember. If you're one of the folks that wants to come into Spain right now, what have you got to lose? They can't deport everybody. They haven't deported everybody, and some people get to stay. So now you have a system where if you try once and it doesn't work, you could always try again. You see, that's what's been created here. Just because somebody is one of the 37,000 that they said they deported, again, which these numbers are being contested, what's to say they aren't going to try again the next time this happens? When Spain started their amnesty program, which was, I believe, about a year ago, they estimated, and this is what they told people, they said, we estimate that 500,000 people will apply for this program and get to stay in the country, but double the amount of people applied. So the estimates were totally wrong, and it was almost like they did a bait and switch on their own population who now doesn't know what to do. And this has brought concern to all the nations around them. Like, what do you say if you're another country in the EU and you want border security and your country is in favor of that? Well, you still have to abide by this travel-free program. You still have to understand that, hey, you've got this higher authority over you, the EU government, that can tell you what to do and tell you, oh, you better open your border. So this is a totally bizarre situation. It doesn't make any sense unless you realize that the people running this place want to have an open border and want to have this happen in some manner. Yes, there's laws against breaking into pretty much every country on earth. Every country on earth has a legal immigration process. But if you're going to have a policy that says if people can come into the country, there's going to be some sort of reward. You're going to get to stay. We're going to evaluate why you're here. It's going to happen on a case-by-case basis. A lot of people are going to say, well, hey, maybe that's going to work out for me. And now in the United States, we have a massive question. And this, if you think about it, is a black swan event for the midterm cycle because people forgot in America over the last year how important border security was. And now you got people out there saying that they want to defund ICE. They want to shut down all border patrol. They want to get the democratic socialists in here who are going to turn the entire country into what New York is becoming right now, a massive sanctuary country where there's no law, where there's no order. I don't know if that's a very good idea. Now people are going to start thinking about that. What do you think about that? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.